Hello, students, and welcome to your first science lesson. I am so excited to be learning online with you, and I miss you guys so very much, but I'm still happy that we get to be connected in a small way. So, we're going to start off our lesson today by being in a scenario. So, here's your scenario. You are stranded on an island. What special ability do you need to survive in your habitat? So, pick choice one or choice number two, and think about what you would need to survive. Write it down if you would like, but what one special ability would you want to survive either in the island of the Arctic or the island of the desert? So you can pause the video now and write that down before we jump into our TEKS and our objective for the day. So, our job today, our TEK is 4.10b. This student is expected to explore and describe examples of traits that are inherited from parents to offspring, such as eye color and shape of leaves, and behaviors that are learned, such as reading a book and a wolf pack, teaching their pups to hunt effectively. So, here is our objective. The learner will compare and contrast, learn behaviors and inherited traits by sorting through learned behaviors and inherited traits on a Venn diagram. Again, the learner will compare and contrast learned behaviors and inherited traits by sorting through learned behaviors and inherited traits on a Venn diagram. Okay, so this is our Venn diagram. We use Venn diagrams because we want to compare and contrast things. We want to see the differences, but also try to find similarities between two topics. So throughout the lesson, there is a Venn diagram attached to this lesson in Google Classroom. Fill it out as we go along. You can use a sheet of notebook paper if you can't print it out. But fill it out as you go along so that we can visualize, okay, the differences and similarities between learned behaviors and inherited traits. And then our similarities will go here in the middle for both. So throughout the lesson, we're going to have Venn diagram checkpoints, which will allow us to kind of process the information that we've learned about learned behaviors and inherited traits so that it's just not all at once. So our first thing is our vocabulary. Our first term is an inherited trait. It is a characteristic of an organism that is passed from parent to offspring. Now, I'll say it one more time. An inherited trait is a characteristic of an organism that is passed from parent to offspring. So, let's go to our next checkpoint, and I've already written down the definition of an inherited trait here. Please, if you have it written down, please write down the definition, or if you have not written it down already, please write down the definition of inherited trait so that we have it in our Venn diagram. Check, and then we can go. You can pause the video now if you need to. I am going to continue otherwise. Our next vocabulary word is vocabulary term is learned behavior. A learned behavior is behavior that is acquired through experience. So we don't get it from our parents, we learn it after we're born. So here's our second diagram checkpoint. I'd put the definition of learned behavior down right here on the left side. As you can see, I don't have anything in similarities yet because you guys are going to work through that later. So yes, we have our definitions on both sides of the Venn diagram, and now we are going to get up and move and go to our academic vocabulary word spell. So here we go. Ready? Behavior. B I-T. Next word, adaptation. A-D-A. Ooh, P-T-A-T-I-O-N. Excellent. Next one, environment. E-N-V-I-R-O-N-M-E-N-T. Nice work, super scholars. I am sure that you guys are doing your physical activity, but I just wanted to incorporate that in there so that we can also reinforce spelling. As you know, adaptation and environment are not two of our vocabulary words that we learned in this lesson, but we have learned them in previous lessons, and we should also know them from 3rd grade. So I included those in there to give us some more words to spell it so that we can get the blood flowing through our veins. So next, I have a little video that will kind of explain a little bit more about inherited traits and learned behaviors. So watch as we continue.
Today we're going to be learning about inherited traits and learned behavior. What color is your hair? Is your hair blonde? Is it brown? Or is your hair red? Inherited traits. They are the traits we get or inherit from our parents. Inherited traits are physical characteristics that are passed from a parent to their baby, also known as offspring. Humans and other animals are a mix of characteristics from their parents. That is why we look like our parents. Some examples of inherited traits include hair color, eye color, skin color, curly or straight hair, dimples, freckles, and height. Some of us have attached earlobes, as pictured above, and others have detached earlobes. These are both examples of inherited traits. Examples of learned behaviors. We learn many behaviors that help us every day. These behaviors include how to make a sandwich, how to brush our teeth, being polite to others, and using an iPad. Some other examples of behaviors we have learned include reading and writing. We learn how to read and write by watching others and practicing. Skateboarding is another example of learned behavior. Dancing is another example of learned behavior. Are you better at soccer than some of the adults in your family? If so, you learned how to do this. You did not inherit this behavior from your parents.
Alright, so we are going to have our final Venn diagram checkpoint. In this Venn diagram checkpoint, I have listed 2 examples of each side of our Venn diagram: 2 learned behaviors, 2 inherited traits. This further illustrates just how just the differences between the two and what does it really mean that we acquire it through experience. We're not born using an iPad, but most of you know how to use one, and we don't learn our eye color. We are born with our eye color. So our lesson review, our objective was the learner will compare and contrast learned behaviors and inherited traits by sorting through learned behaviors and inherited traits on a Venn diagram. So, a learned behavior is behavior that is acquired through experience. An inherited trait is a characteristic of an organism that is passed from parent to offspring. It is genetic. Then, number 3. How are they similar? We haven't really talked about that at all during this lesson, but I want you to, on your own, I want you to think about how they're similar. How does eye color relate to using an iPad? What do both serve? How do they both help us, or do they help us? How do they connect? Why do they connect? So in your Venn diagram, make some notes of that in the similarities column. Now, in your centers, for your science center, you will do your reading science activity. We've done them in the past where we have different groups, A, B, and C, but this time we're just having one group, so you don't have to worry about that. It's all on your centers assignments. Your second one is a STEM scope, closing in on science. This activity is done on your STEM scopes, so it's just the same app portal that you have been using. Yeah, so you'll go on your STEM scopes, you'll have that activity. It's the 410 BA closing in on science. You don't have to do any of the illustration pieces if you don't want to. Then for engineering, the engineering center, you'll have a matching sorting activity that you'll do along with a worksheet. Your art will be a Frayer model activity that we've done previously, and then math will be a math connections activity also that we've done previously. So then your other assignment is a literacy activity. So it looks like this, but you will have the actual PDF of it in your Google Classroom assignment with where this lesson is located. So as you read, make sure you're taking notes on the sides and on the back after you're finished. And this will help you fill out your Venn diagram so you can sort out more differences and maybe even find what the similarities are. Whenever you've completed it, please submit it to Google Classroom if you are able to. Again, this falls under 410B guided instruction worksheet under the classroom assignment in Google Classroom. Then last but not least, there is an MOL. It is on a Google form in Google Classroom attached to this lesson. Please submit it if you are able. Thank you guys so much. If you need to go back, this YouTube video will stay up for you all. If you need to go back in case you missed anything or would like to rewatch any part of the video, I thank you guys for just being patient as we learn to navigate Google Classroom. And I really can't wait to be back in the classroom with all of you. So until next time, I will see you later. Bye!